All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Millennial Trades. We're going to go ahead and get right into this. There's a lot to talk about. The biggest breaking news story, I think, is the Russian missiles that a couple of them ended up hitting a Polish town. This is what we're being told in the mainstream media. I did hear Jim Sciutto on CNN doubt that narrative. I was surprised. I think he's over there right now. They were wondering if maybe CNN was basically wondering if maybe it was actually a Ukrainian missile. So they're trying to figure it out right now. But the mainstream media narrative is that Russia, accidentally kind of attacked Poland. So that's not good news. But anyways, we have some good economic data. I'm actually not looking at the markets right now. I traded this morning. We gapped up on all three indexes. It was a huge, epic, historic move for the S&P 500, for the NASDAQ, and for a lot of stocks. I was in the trade. I was anticipating that we were going to get this good inflation data this morning, which we did. Okay, we had the producer price index, the PPI, come out today, and the U.S. producer inflation basically beat estimates, which is, I guess, good enough news for, the inflation is still up, right? But the fact that it beat estimates, it was lower than the estimates, I should say. It didn't actually beat the estimates. The estimates came in at 0.4%, and the numbers, the overall PPI index, rose 0.2% month over month. So, that's not bad. But we're still, gasoline prices up 5.7%, so not good. Services came down, which is very important. I think that's what the market wanted to see because, services were down 0.1%, so not much, right? But it's the first decline in services since November of 2020, so think about that. That's definitely something to consider here. It was bullish, right? It was enough to continue the momentum a little bit. Now, I got kind of caught up in my trade. I'll just briefly talk about it. I'm up about $500 on the week. Today, in the account, we're up like about 1,000. But I was down yesterday. And here's the thing. The longer trades, the swing trades, the overnight trades, right? Trading these CPI numbers, trading the inflation data or the interest rate hikes, it's hard to do. Believe me, I'm blessed that I've been calling this the right way. And I should probably slow down because, the more I make these bets, the probability of me being wrong becomes greater and greater. And I don't want to get confidence bias or, fall into the usual traps that most retail traders, fall into. But, things are going well. At least, I wanted a little bit more money because I had put a lot of money into this trade. But PayPal just wasn't ready. I haven't checked to see where PayPal is right now. But, we've got so much macroeconomic data and political data that I want to go over. Just real quick with the commodities, right? We did have commodities rise a little bit today. Oil was coming off of the lows. Silver is up to 2162 right now. Gold is at 1779. So I'm looking at the gold chart. There definitely seems to be some resistance in this area, possibly a supply zone for gold and for silver, really. I am going to watch these charts. I'm going to look at these pullbacks, and then I'm probably going to step in. Hopefully these pullbacks happen soon. I think they will. They'll happen by the end of the month. That's my suspicion, right, on the metals. And then I'll probably add to my stack. Maybe I'll get a chain. Who knows? I've been saying that for the longest time. Gold price rallies further on U.S. dollar weakness is the headline. This was important. The dollar as well is way down. Now, in the middle of the day, it was trying to come back up, and it kept, breaking these pre-market levels, and it was a mess. This is what was messing up my trade. I sold most of my contracts right at the open on PayPal, and I should have sold them all, but then PayPal and the market contracted. It was, it was frustrating, right? But the market never goes up the way we think it's going to, or the way we think it should. And so I was still holding like 10 contracts on the pullback. Kind of averaged into this. You can see this all on my Instagram at Millennial Trades. Make sure to go and follow me there because I post like all of my trades and I talk about them. But yeah, that dollar was frustrating. The bonds weren't really cooperating either. We had to get them to catch a bid. But we gapped up in the pre-market, and I was getting, I guess, a little ahead of myself because PayPal was already up 2% by the time we opened, right? It had gapped up. I should have sold all my contracts right there, but I was thinking, oh no, PayPal's going to gap up and go, right? And it's going to be up 5, 6, 7% today. Well, that didn't happen. If it did happen, it didn't happen earlier on this morning. And this is why I don't look at the charts. Once I'm done trading, I'll look at the charts again when I get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. I don't need to look at like all the charts that, the stuff that I'm trading. One chart that is very interesting to look at, you guys should check out, is the US dollar currency chart. The DXY. This is it's the dollar measured against all of the world currencies, right? The yen is in there, the won, the euro, all this kind of thing. So the dollar pulled back a lot, substantially, the past few days, right? The past couple of weeks, we kind of made like, I guess, some sort of double top or weird W pattern up there. And it's just been coming down ever since, which is good. That's good for the market. And I think that's another reason why the stocks are performing as well as they are, because people are selling dollars, you're getting rid of their dollars. They want to put their dollars into something else. So, it's all about ratios. From the Wall Street Journal, just a quick headline. Stock market today. Stocks move higher on cooler than expected PPI report. U.S.-China optimism. I mentioned this in a video yesterday, but Biden met with the president of China. And, I guess it could have gone worse. I'm not sure. The media is claiming Biden didn't bring up the human rights violations, all this kind of thing. I want to know about the trade agreements, right? I want to know about TikTok. The trade commissioners and I think senators talking about banning TikTok. I was watching the Stock Market Live channel, the trading fraternity, and he pulled up this live video of congressmen. I think it was congressmen. Today, talking about everything from banning TikTok to financial, financial climate awareness. Like, they were trying to tie in climate change and finances. I mean, oh man, these people are crazy that are running the show. But that is what they're talking about. So, on top of all this, right, we are, about 5-6 minutes into this video. The whole thing with Elon Musk, right? I want to talk about Elon Musk, and George Gammon went in on Elon Musk. I watch a lot of content creators, guys, but George Gammon, I'll tell you guys about that. With the whole crypto thing, right, the reason I want to bring Elon Musk into this conversation right now is because with the FTX fallout and all the Ponzi schemes, the pyramid schemes, is Bitcoin a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme? A lot of people think so. But George Gammon is calling, basically making comparisons between FTX and Sam Bankman and Elon Musk, because people are investing in it, or at least were for many years. Yeah, Tesla's only been profitable for a few years now, but for a very long time, they were just, burning through the cash that investors were putting into this company. And, people buy into it because it's Elon Musk, and that maybe raises the value a little bit because it's popular. But at the end of the day, George Gammon is basically calling out Elon Musk and Tesla and saying that that's a big Ponzi scheme as well. A lot of the stock market is a big Ponzi scheme. And this is why we shouldn't keep all of our cash in one place. We shouldn't keep all of our cash in one bank. We definitely shouldn't keep all of our cash in the bank, and we shouldn't keep all of our wealth in cash. I think that made sense. So with this, whole FTX fallout, you have regulators talking about, stepping in and talking about what are we going to do here? How are we going? And this is how it happens every time. The thing happens, millions of people lose money, and then the regulators come in and just try to make the rules easier for the big guys, right? They're not going to make the rules easier for us because we can't handle it, right? We lost billions of dollars of our own money. So that's something to kind of consider when you see these senators or congressmen or politicians calling for regulations with crypto. What's the point of regulating it if the whole thing's a big Ponzi scheme? Right? And I don't mean to be hating on crypto too much. I'm kind of asking questions here. I'm holding $50 worth of Bitcoin, and I'm waiting for 5K. Bitcoin to 5K. Hashtag Bitcoin to 5K in the comment section down below. But I think the whole thing is collapsing. The Ponzi schemes are collapsing. And even though I'm involved in a Ponzi scheme, which is the stock market and day trading, all this kind of thing, even so, I want to have cash, not all in a stock account either. I want to have gold and silver. These are very important things to consider. But you want to watch those charts too and make sure you're kind of, trying to time those markets as well. But we could get into the esoteric here, and I think I want to, because with the Ponzi scheme, right, the way Sam Bankman-Fried, I love that name, Sam Bankman-Fried, I don't know how people couldn't tell that it's absolutely shocking how many people either fell for this guy or were cooperating with this guy, And we already made a video about all the YouTubers and stuff, but there's huge fallout there. Millennial Money closed down the channel because they were basically, every video was sponsored by FTX, and it was like right on the screen throughout every video. So they had to delete the whole channel basically. But Sam Bankman-Fried, I really want to know what Kanye West has to say about all of this. I would love to hear from Kanye at this time about the FTX fallout. But that being said, Fried's money magic box, he described in a podcast, I believe with Bloomberg, and there were other like professional financial, like bankers on that show. And Sam Bankman-Fried, basically, this is the quote. He describes, okay, I've got one soundbite to do today too, so I want to make sure I don't miss that soundbite. But the whole black box thing, right? Yeah, that was about the Federal Reserve. I'll play that later. And I'm going to need to get my phone to play the soundbite. Sam Bankman-Fried's magic box, he describes this box, right? And he basically, he was like, call it a black box, call it a magical protocol that is going to, this is literally what he said, going to replace the central banking system in 38 days or whatever. He said, you could call it whatever you want to call it, and get celebrities to invest in it, get famous people to invest in it, and get other people to believe in it, and then the price goes up. And then you can get other people to believe in it, and the price goes up. And the investment banker on the show called Sam Bankman-Fried out and said that, in my profession, in the banking world, that would be considered straight up a Ponzi scheme. But, of course, the banks don't want us to know this either. The central banks don't want us to know this. But that's a form of a Ponzi scheme, too, because they're even talking about, the regulators are talking about having banks like raising the requirements for cash reserves that the banks have to keep after this FTX fallout, right? That was one of the discussions in this congressional, discussion that I was watching earlier today. So they're interested well, it seems like there are some people interested in making sure that this doesn't happen to the banks. But what if there was a bank run? Well, or what if some other bank talked trash about another bank and everybody tried to pull their money out like with FTX, and then there was a liquidity issue? I think these liquidity issues, possibly, my speculation, and one can only speculate, my speculation is that the liquidity issue is not going to be just in crypto. Eventually, especially when unemployment rises, not necessarily because of the interest rates, right, that we could be facing these problems, but when unemployment rises and people can't pay their debts, that's, the liquidity, you'll see it dry up real quick. But the black box thing, right? Why did he describe it as why did Bankman-Fried describe it as a black box? Well, when you get into the mysticism of it, okay, and you guys can look this up. The whole black cube thing, it's very ancient, right? It comes from basically the Canaanites, all right? The idea of a black box or a black mirror, right? You have companies called Black Cube, right? It's a private intelligence agency based in the UK, and based in London, Tel Aviv, and Madrid is where this company is based. Black Cube, right? You can't make this shit up. And that was the company, I think, that was harassing Harvey Weinstein's victims. So, this stuff gets really, really deep. And Sam Bankman-Fried, describing his Ponzi scheme as a black box, I don't think it's a coincidence. You also have the Dybbuk box in that sort of mysticism there. And there's, the show Black Mirror. Well, what's a black mirror? It's a cell phone, right? But back in, Babylonian times, when the Canaanites were alive, Black Mirror was more of like a magical item. Now it's like a technological item that I guess is still sort of magical because they can control the entire world, control opinions, control the outcomes of elections. I know I'm going off on a crazy rabbit hole right here, but I'm telling you guys, if you look into the black box and the mysticism of it, look into these agencies, you even have BlackRock, right? That's another asset management company. Why is it always a black box, a black rock, or a black mirror, right? And they're always Ponzi schemes run by, the global elite. So to me, it's a coincidence that he used the term black box, and I haven't seen anybody talk about this. And it's not just Bankman-Fried, Chris Cole, right? The Dragon portfolio. Go look at some of his ideas and his papers and the weird symbolism and imagery that this financial hedge fund manager incorporates into his financial discussion and papers and stuff. I mean, it's very, very odd how esoteric some of this stuff really is. I mean, I think in some ways when you're that high up, you have to be at least aware of the esoteric, and maybe that's the reason they use these names. But maybe there's something deeper. Maybe there's a religious element to I mean, you look at the dollar, right, with the pyramid and the all-seeing eye. It's all very interesting to me, right? If you're interested in it, please give the video a thumbs up and comment down below what you think about this. So let's talk about the Federal Reserve real quick. I don't want to take up all of your guys' time, as I always say. We're 15 minutes into this. You had Fed Vice Chair Brainerd. And by the way, she rocks a lot of silver. I think she's a silver stacker. She has like 5 silver rings on 2 fingers. But she says that it may soon be appropriate to move to a slower pace of rate hikes. People are calling for 50 basis points. I don't know if I believe it for December. I don't know if I believe it. Why 50? Why not 75 basis points? Really shock the markets. And maybe the markets will be so shocked that it'll go up. I mean, you see bad news comes out and the markets go up. This is, I think, all by design. We all know this. And I won't get into the conspiracies about the central banks and what they want to do. But they have a lot of power. That's almost why the political stuff, though, the right and the left, it's funny, it's entertaining, but the truth is the central banks and the Federal Reserve is what we need to pay attention to. But Vice Chair Brainerd says, and her name is Lael Brainerd. Lael, L-A-E-L. Lael Brainerd. She says, I think it will probably be appropriate soon to move to a slower pace of rate hikes. This is what she told Bloomberg News. And I swear, I think she's a silver stacker. She's got hella silver rings on her finger. They keep saying the markets are expecting a likely step down in December from the Fed's rapid pace of rate increases this year. I just don't know if I'm going to bet on that. I want to bet more on 75 basis points. That's how I'm leaning right now. Maybe I'll read something or hear something that will change my mind. But if I'm going to trade that macroeconomic event, I mean, trying to guess the Fed's rate hikes, that seems like a very dangerous and risky game. But, it's a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of fun to try to predict these things, and I mean, it sucks when you lose, but you got to try to manage that. Brainerd spoke a week after the Fed took its benchmark interest rate to 4% from 3.75%. To a 3.5% to 4% targeted range, the highest levels in 14 years. They're going to go higher than this. They're going to go the highest they've been, since Volcker. And in the 1980s, I think the peak was 7.7, right? Lucky number 7s. And remember, with the esoteric, again, pay attention to the interest rate hikes. They want to bring it to 6%, right? That's sort of what the talk is. 6%, right? Why 6? Why not 7? Why not 5, right? But they might just bring it to 6%. Not only for their monetary reasons, but maybe the esoteric reasons. The ECB, likely to keep raising rates beyond the 2%. They got to get it, 2%. I mean, I know their economy is a little bit different than ours, but they're behind. I think, was it Switzerland? They chickened out last month and raised it only by 50 basis points, which was unexpected. I saw this headline from the New York Times, and I'm highlighting this because it shows you how deep the Fed is in with corporate America, with the elite. A Fed president spoke at an invite-only, off-the-record bank client event. So you can't make this shit up. They're obviously conspiring behind closed doors. I mean, I think that's plain to see for anybody. So George Gammon, right? I just couldn't... Going back to George Gammon, the reason I was watching him is because he talks about the Fed a lot. But when he started going into Elon Musk, because he claims the Fed is a Ponzi scheme too, and a lot of people do. But it's like, what's the alternative? China's central bank, Russia's central bank? I don't know. What is the alternative if not the Federal Reserve? A decentralized system, but then Crypto Casey says the entire crypto market collapsed because of Sam Bankman-Fried, who was an agent for the global elite who wanted to collapse and destabilize this decentralized blockchain technology so that the central banks and the Federal Reserve can swoop in and, create their digital shit coins, which I guess everybody would still have to buy anyways. So many people lost money on this, and it's just, so many people were promoting this, and there are comparisons to make between FTX, Elon Musk, the central banks, your bank that you might be keeping money in. I mean, if all of your bank's customers wanted their cash tomorrow, what would happen? The bank would face liquidity issues. It would be a crisis across America. So I'm getting my cash out now if that's what I'm going to do. All right, so moving on to the political, we have Trump speaking tonight. Is he going to announce his candidacy? The whole thing with Ron DeSantis, again, I don't want to take the bait. I don't think we should take the bait. In Arizona, Katie Hobbs somehow, with mail-in balloting and a week's worth of, dropping them off after Election Day, wins the governorship for Arizona. What I find really corrupt is that it took so long that the Democrats, they can't win unless they're using millions of mail-in ballots, right? And that seems kind of odd to me. Also, it's almost like they're just going to people's houses maybe and just like signing them up to vote Democrat, and the people are just like, oh, sure, yeah, I want free money. And she wouldn't debate Kari Lake. Katie Hobbs refused to debate Kari Lake, and I thought that would, because it's like you're not giving your audience or your voters a chance to hear the arguments from the other side. They only hear your arguments. So that's super corrupt, in my opinion, super corrupt. And I think it's because she was scared. I think she's, really just a coward. People are trying to, the GOP is trying to blame Trump for all of this. I think Mike Pence came out today and said we can do better in 2024. But this is what Trump tweeted, right? Or not tweeted, but on Truth Social. He says, wow, they just took the election away from Kari Lake. It's really bad out there. So, the former president telling us how bad it is as far as, these, just the situation with our elections. Do you believe everything that we're seeing? I mean, I don't. There's so many lies that they've told us, right? They try to cover up Benghazi and Hillary Clinton, and they try to cover up, they're still covering up Hunter Biden's crimes. They covered up Epstein's crimes. They've covered up, the lies about the weapons of mass destruction that came from the government, the mainstream media coordinating with the government to push that lie and push Americans into a war that, what did we gain? I'm not sure how much we gained. Maybe somehow the United States gained behind closed doors. But a lot of people lost their lives. It seemed like a big waste of time. Trump has said it's a big waste of time, but maybe the global elite are satisfied with the outcome, right? But this reminds me with Ron DeSantis, right? We need to be careful about who we just trust because, even Trump, right? Both of these guys live in Florida. And Florida is not without its very dark and scandalous issues. I mean, isn't Epstein, that's where he was committing his crimes? Supposedly Matt Getz, I think is his name. Some weird stuff is going on in Florida. We know about Disneyland, and I know, Ron DeSantis is maybe trying to fix some of this stuff. But we got to be careful with who we trust. Anybody that's coming out of that swamp in Florida, we need to, look at them with a real discernment, because I don't want to run into a situation where we're like, supporting people that are still in the thick of the trafficking that is, Florida's well known for the trafficking. I'll leave it at that, but I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. If there's something in the markets that I missed that you think I should talk about, please comment down below. Give the video a big fat like and follow me on Instagram at Millennial Trades. As always, until next time, I'll see you on the next video.